Hello students, in this module we will be doing the explanation of your first poem in the revision of the poem, and that is The Heart of the Tree. So as we start with The Heart of the Tree, the first thing we will do is about the poet, and that is Henry Cuyler Bunner. He was an American novelist and poet, and he was born in New York, and there are a number of works that are given for him as the important works to remember. You can note them down as three or two important works: A Women of Honor, Heirs from Arcady, and The Midge. So these are some of his important works, and he had a very good control on the command on the poetic structure. So that is why his poems were simple yet very effective. In this poem we see it is very important poem because here he has tried to focus our attention, the attention of his readers, on the value of planting trees, on the value of tree, what great efforts tree does to balance the ecological system of the entire area where it is placed. Besides that, we can say poet has persuaded us to plant trees for our benefits, and also to shelter and to provide benefits to the coming up generations also who have not yet been born. That means a tree put up in this particular time period is going to yield benefits for years and years to come. So that is why they are important. They balance the system, and planting them is something which shows what great efforts you are doing, or what great heritage you are leaving for the generations to come. It blesses each and every one. So here we see about the poem that first and foremost, what is the theme of the poem? Here we see the theme of the poem is planting, obviously the need of planting trees. And we can say the time when this was written, it was not so you can say required at that time, because obviously the ecological system was much better, the environment was much better at that time, but now it has deteriorated even more. So today this particular poem becomes even more relevant, and during the course of time, as the time passes, this poem will become even more relevant, because the conditions will be deteriorating more and more unless and until people adopt the idea of this poem and become more conscious about the environment. So it is considered that planting trees, according to the poet, is one of the greatest things he can do for the ecological, social and economic benefits also. Besides that, a tree is rightly a metaphor for the beauty, calm and peace, prosperity and harmony of the entire mankind wherever it is put up. So that is why this is the theme. The Heart of the Tree is basically about, you can say, about an environmental poem which is written with the idea of making people aware of the importance of trees. Next we see the title. When we talk about the title, we can say that yes, it is very apt and very suggestive, because throughout the poem, when we are doing the reading or the understanding of the poem, we see the heart of the tree. Heart of the tree, basically we are talking about the person who plants a tree. But when we are talking about him, what is he planting and how is that particular thing going to be beneficial to everyone, that talks about the heart of the tree. And it tells that a heart of a tree is full of love and blessings for all, not only for those who take care of it, but even for those who might have neglected it, ignored it earlier. So without any discrimination, without any bias, the tree provides its benefits to everyone, and without any discrimination. Whether you talk about its fruits, its ecological benefits, or you can talk about its shade, it gives it to everyone without any distinction, without any restrictions. So that is why heart of a tree is full of, you can say, kindness and generosity and magnanimous. So that is how it is, heart of the tree being talked about over here. Next we see the form. The poem is in a lyrical form. It is relatively shorter poem which only has 3 stanzas, but each stanza has 9 lines. Now the rhyming scheme in the poem is basically, for the 9 lines, first 3 lines are A, B, A, and then you have the entire paragraph as a couplet. It is B, B, C, C, A, A. That means the first and third line, they match with the last 2 lines. The second and fourth, fifth line, they match with each other. Sixth and seventh are totally different lines. So here we can say, as I'll give you an example also. In the first poem, the last words I am reading out, it is tree, sky, free, high, anai, bird, herd, harmony. So harmony and tree. So this is how the entire paragraph goes on. A B B C C A A. So that is the lyrical form. Now we talk about the various devices, literary devices which have been used in this poem. So it is, first we see the metaphors that have been used by the poet. One is in the very opening line, a friend of sun and sky. Second is the flag of breezes free. Next is the forest's heritage. And lastly we have harvest of a coming age. Besides that, we have certain alliterations which have been used over here. It is, he plants a friend of sun and sky. So that is a repetition of sound S. Next is, in hushed and happy twilight heard. So it is sound of repetitive H. Next is, and ears that fade and flush again. Fade and flush, the sound of F. So these are the alliterations which have been used in this poem. Next we talk about the visual and auditory images that have been used in the poem. The visual images is the shaft of beauty towering high, and the next is the flag of breezes free. Whereas for the auditory image we have for song and mother croon of bird. It talks about the sounds. So that is how we can see the explanation of the poem is all about. Here let's talk about the explanation as per the paragraphs, as per the stanzas. So the stanzas are, I'll read for you. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants a friend of sun and sky. He plants the flag of breezes free. The shaft of beauty towering high. He plants a home to heaven anigh. For song and mother croon of bird, in hushed and happy twilight heard, in treble of heaven's harmony, these things he plants who plants a tree. So over here we can say that the poet is trying to underline that the value, whatever the value of the tree is, and even at that time it was quite valuable. Now when a man plants a tree, he is asking in a general way of questioning the audience, what does people think that a person who's planting a tree plants? A friend to the atmosphere, the sun and sky, and the next is a tree, and this total together makes the process of photosynthesis, and that is how a tree grows and purifies the air and makes it even better and gives out oxygen, which is the life-giving source over here on earth. It reduces air temperature and even purifies the air by trapping all the dust and pollen and smoke. So the atmosphere around the tree turns out to be more purer and more cooler. It ensures gentle free breeze because of the movement of the hot air when they get into the trees, in the branches, leaves. It cools down, and then through that, when it passes, it becomes a cool breeze. So that is why they are the flag bearer of cool breezes. The grown-up tree looks like a beautiful tower, and that is as it is made a home closer to the heaven. As it goes high up to the sky, it seems that the upper part of the tree is almost reaching to the heaven, to the sky, where different species of birds, animals, they make their abode. So here it depends on sunlight to make its food, thus it is aptly described as a friend of sun and sky. And besides that, it turns the place around it as a small heaven for many of the birds and animals to live, and even people, those who come under its shade. The place where there are green trees is nothing short of heaven, as given over here. If he who plants a tree is basically one who's ensuring all these benefits for his locality, and that is why we can say a planting tree ensures peace, harmony, comfort, and other such benefits, not only for himself but even for the entire community. So this was one of the things that we read earlier in the theme also. So that is one of the important thing. A person who plants a tree plants along with that tree. The heart of that tree provides all these things without any distinction to everyone. Second stanza I'll read for you is, what does he plant who plants a tree? He plants cool shade and tender rain, and seed and buds of days to be, and years that fade and flush again. He plants the glory of the plain, he plants the forest's heritage, the harvest of a coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see. These things he plants who plants a tree. So here he is again asking you, what does he plant? He plants cool shade. Along with that cool shade, there is tender rain that is provided because of that cool atmosphere, cool shade. Everything turns out to be cool if there are a number of trees. So because of that, tender rains also come. You must have done it in geography also. The rain bearing clouds, they stop at the places where there are trees and cool weather, and then they give out all their moisture over there as rains. So that is what is mentioned over here. And seed and buds of days to be, and years that fade and flush again. Every year, as per the season, they flush and fade means they flower, and after those flowers, the flowers fade, and then comes the time for the seeds, and these seeds, when given proper ground, turns out into new plants, new trees of the same species. So the seeds and buds of today turns out to be the flowers and plants for or trees of the coming generation. And this way, how they bloom in a particular season, and then they again fade, and once again the cycle goes on, again blooming and then again fading. That is how they multiply, they provide benefits to everyone season by season and generations to generations. He who plants the glory of the plain, the tree is called a glory of the plain because not only it makes the entire area beautiful like a heaven with the cool shade and breezes and benefits, but rather it multiplies, covers the entire area, and turns the entire picture of the demography of the land. That is why it is claimed as the glory of the plain. He plants the forest's heritage. It is the heritage of the forest that the forest restores for the coming generations. The harvest of a coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see. Trees are considered as the joy of unborn eyes. Who are these unborn eyes? Those who are not yet born when the tree has been planted, but later in the years when they will be born and they will grow into new citizens or new people of that area, they will also derive benefits out of that tree. And that is why the tree is not only going to provide benefit to us who are going to plant right now, but it is going to provide benefits even to the generations coming much later. Those who are not even born, they will also be benefited by that particular whatever the resources the tree provides. So that is why unborn eyes are that generation who is not yet born, and they will also be benefited by this. So these are the various things a person who plants a tree plants for the coming generation or for his locality. Third stanza says, what does he plant who plants a tree? He plants in sap and leaf and wood, in love of home and loyalty, and far cast thought of civic good, his blessings on the neighborhood, who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of all our land. A nation's growth from sea to sea stirs in his heart who plants a tree. Here we see that again he questions the audience, what does he plant who plants a tree? And then he says, he gives the answer for that. It is the good values like love and loyalty, they are planted along with the tree, and they give, as the tree nurtures and a person nurtures, he is nurturing all these values. One who plants a tree is out of you can say total sense of loyalty and love for his family that he is doing this, and in terms it is not only for his family, it turns out for the entire neighborhood, for the entire community which will be benefited by that. Planting a tree also is called as a civic good because it is a benefit for the humanity. Why? Because it is not only going to provide benefit to the people around it or to whom it belongs, but it is going to provide benefit to everyone around because it works in the purification of the atmosphere, and that is how anyone and everyone which is who is nearby will be benefited by it. So that is why it is an effort for the civic good. The tree benefits all neighbors around. The poet emphasizes that the fact that a country's growth and development depends upon its wealth of trees also, because trees help not only providing shade and all that, but even their fruits, wood, and various other trees have different other medicinal and commercial purposes. So they are also beneficial for many of the people in different ways, in different businesses. So the wealth of the tree is considered to be one of the biggest wealth of the land, not only for commercial purpose but even for the way that they protect and they stabilize the atmosphere in that particular area, makes it even better climate and atmosphere, everything, environment. One who plants a tree is conscious of this particular effect, this particular fact, that whatever he's planting is going to be beneficial in so many different ways, and that is why the future progress of mankind depends upon planting of the trees. Because once a person starts learning how to plant trees, they are going to do it as they have learned that what benefits they will be deriving out of it, and what benefit they are doing for the coming up generations, who might be their own generations, or obviously who are going to be their own generations, and they will be benefited by the good effects of all these trees and planting of trees. The heart of tree is going to be generous blessing for all, and that is why it is important to plant as many trees as possible to make the environment better and to make it a blessing for the coming generations, so that they don't suffer because of our ill effects. So that is what the poet wants to explain through this poem. With this, we come to the end of all the poems. We have done Shakespeare, we have done all the poems as revision also. Now in the next module, we will be looking into the stories explanation, and I will be doing the Shakespeare part only after the stories. So be patient, and then we will quickly move on with the stories and then Shakespeare. So with this, we wrap up this. Do look into the books, read the explanation, read the paragraphs, and in next module we'll also be completing the question answers. So make sure you do have your workbooks and your modules, listen to it properly and do the question answers accordingly. So we end this. Have a great day. Thank you.